Hey guys, gonna do my top 10 features for the DJI SPARK. I've had this girl for about two and a half months now, and yeah, fabulous buy for under $1,000. Yeah, can't beat it. Rightio, I'll get straight into it. Number one, obviously you can see it's small. It's very portable. It's very lightweight. It fits in your pocket if you've got a jacket. I usually carry it around in this case in a small bag, but yeah, it's very lightweight, it's very small, so that's the number one feature which is really great for it too. The second one is that it shoots in 1080. 5 years ago, if you wanted 1080, you'd be paying $2.5 grand to get something in the air to get good footage with. This is with the Fly More package, which is like the extra battery, the case, and the extra chargers and that sort of thing. It's under $1,000 still, so to get this in the air for under $1,000 and getting really good 1080 footage, yep, it's definitely the fact that it can shoot in 1080. It's got a pretty good gimbal on it, so it's not like the best, but it's got a pretty good for in beginners mode. Like if you run it through sports mode, obviously it takes a little bit of toll turning left and right, but in beginner you can get really good, smooth, crisp footage with the 1080. So number three is the active tracking. I'm a concrete supervisor, so I use it on work. Sometimes I'll take it up, track myself, walk through the job, do a bit of an explanation. It's good for the safety protocols and just doing a progress reports and that sort of stuff. Also, if you got skating or biking or wakeboarding or something like that, take it up, track the person, and then as soon as they take off, it's going to follow them, and then obviously when it gets close to the end of battery, it's going to turn around and come back home. So yeah, active tracking on this thing is really good. Just a side note on there, you can make it go left and right, which is panning around. So if you go to the left, it will go around at whatever percent you move it to. So if you move it at like 20%, it's going to move real slow. You can zoom it right up to about 85%, and yeah, it'll take off and just start panning around the person really quickly. It'll keep going round and round, so you need to make sure there's no trees in the way. But yeah, that's a really good feature with it, is the active tracking. The other thing is again, because it's small, I've bumped into a few trees. I don't know if you can see sort of a couple of the nicks on the blades, and I've actually got a crack in the joint of one of these bad boys. But yeah, once you bump into something, this always seems to restabilize. I've bumped into a few branches. Will be replacing the propellers shortly because I've got new ones there. But once it bumps into something, it sort of like loses control for a bit, but it always seems to restabilize. Where you see most of your fails are from the larger ones, because they're so big. Once they clip something, they go head over heels, and as they try and restabilize, they pull themselves into a fall where, because they're so small and so lightweight, it sort of bounces away a little bit, and it always seems to restabilize. So that's has to be number 4 on the list. So definitely it's good because it can restabilize. Inbuilt in this, for number 5, is the GPS, and I've lost it about 4 or 5 times, taken it out past the kilometre range and kept going, windy days out over the ocean, and yeah, lost signal. You're sitting there staring at it, and the first time I did it was about 800 metres off the coast, and I was like, how's it gone, how's it gone? And yeah, gave it about 2 minutes, boom, popped back up on my screen. I was like, cool, stop, return to home, and had about 5 minutes of flight time still to go. So it's great that it's got the GPS in it, and it always comes back home. But you have to remember, before you take off, even do it twice. Reset it on the ground when it takes off, reset it again. Make sure you set your home point, and she'll always come back. I've gone walking sometimes, and if you're walking, you can change it again as you go along. You can set it to come back to where the remote is, and it just hovers just above the remote. So then you can reach down, or reach up and grab it out of the sky when you want to land. So yeah, that's definitely number 5. Number 6, this is a toss up between 7 and 6, but number 6 is the hand features. It's great that you don't need to have a remote control for this. I used it at Christmas time, had the whole family around, and they were trying to fiddle around with a little phone. I was like, hey, 2 seconds, beep beep on the back, off it went, everyone smile, tracked on me, walked back into the group, did the pose and took a few photos. It was fantastic. They turned out great. Good sun angle, good landscape behind us, and it's not a photo that you get for Christmas every time. So that was fantastic that I didn't need the remote, but you can use your phone. You're going to get limited. I think it's about 50 meters up in the air and about 80 meters away that sort of the phone will cut out. You need the RC control obviously to boost your range, but if you need to and you quickly and you don't want to pull out the whole schmozzle with it, you can just use your phone and do a quick zoom around of whatever area you're in, and get some good footage that way. But yeah, if you need to, you can obviously bump up to the remote control, and I think it's these on here will give you the extra range. And obviously you got a bit more sensitivity too with the feel of this. On a phone it's pretty dodgy, but when you're playing with these you can move it nice and smoothly to get the good footage and the slow turning and that sort of stuff. Also for about $5 I think you can get a set of boosters which will boost your range a little bit more, but I wouldn't be going exceeding too much of what it actually says it can do, because it might not be able to find home or something like that later on. So yeah, that's probably, yeah, definitely has to be number 6, is the multiple control use on it. So I thought about this one, so it was going to be 6 but now it's 7, is the fact this has LED lights on it. It tells you things just by looking at it. Obviously when you're going to take a photo it flashes the green and it goes green, it's taking the photo, but it's saved me quite a few times, and that's why this has become a great feature. Is I've had my sound down on my phone and I didn't even realise it. I'd set my save point, and then somehow I was squeezing it and it turned the volume down, so I didn't hear the battery low signal. Anyway, I was flying along and I was looking up, not looking down, and I didn't see it on the screen pop up critically low. So I think when it goes to red on, that means you've got a low battery, and it's whatever you set it at, which is mine, it's on 30%. So it started flashing red, and that's when I picked on it and I looked down. I was like, whoa, I was at 20%, and so I had to bring it all the way down. By the time I got down, I was about 5%. But if I hadn't seen the flashing LED lights on it, I wouldn't have had a clue, because I didn't hear anything because my sound was turned off. So yeah, that has to be a good feature on it, the fact that it's got LED lights telling you what's going on. When you're pairing to it and that sort of thing, it tells you got lights on it. Obviously the battery display is good, because if you've changed a couple of batteries and you've got 2 or 3 batteries, don't know which one's flat, then obviously push this on the back and it'll tell you whether you got full bars or not. Yeah, so going on to number 8 is, again, on the back end of this thing, you've got a charge point. So if you've flown your 2 or 3 batteries and you know you're going to be out there for another half an hour and you've got time to charge it, then you can charge it. What I do sometimes, I just plug it into my phone charger. Make sure it's a DJI compatible one, because the amperage could be affecting your battery and you want to get the most life out of your battery, so don't go using dodgy servo ones. Yeah, plug it in, drive to the next destination. By the time you get there, have a drink, scope out the area, make sure you know what you're going to be shooting, go back to your battery, and she's all charged up, so that's great. I would have liked to have seen, instead of taking the SD card out all the time, being able to plug that in and then plug it straight to your computer like a camera, and it takes the memory off it instead of pulling it out all the time. But yeah, being able to charge this on the fly is great. You don't need the dock, so to speak, to charge it all the time. Like take the battery out and put it in the dock, so that's great. They do have car chargers for the dock, but again, I wouldn't recommend that, because yeah, you're going to charge multiple batteries at the same time, but it's a car battery, it's not 240 volts. You're going to have issues with multiple batteries getting charged off the low amps, and be basically like, might as well charge them all on dodgy servo cigarette lighter chargers. So yeah, it's great, you can charge this on the fly. Recently, I think it was only a couple of days ago, just before Christmas, they sent out an update, and there was a few skeptical people on the internet about it. No, I find it great. It's done something to the battery, and it's also helped stabilizing it. It must be like a little bit of a turning thing. When you turn, it makes it go slow first, and then it goes up to the speed that you set it at, so it doesn't just go full whoosh and create a blur in the beginning of your turn. And secondly is, when it takes off, it must be reducing the battery like use. It just doesn't go power hardcore when you're still inside. I think it's about 20 meters or 15 meters off the ground. It actually moves a lot slower in the lower altitude. and then once you get up about 20 meters, it'll just take off, and that's just still in the normal beginner mode. It must sense that you're above trees, and there's no point being fully powered up to fly around in amongst trees and obstacles and that sort of stuff, because obviously you're going to crash into them. So I guess the firmware's done something like that. The first time I turned it on after the update, it did that, and I believe it's going to continue to do the same thing. Just use low power moving around in the lower sections, and then once you get up about 20 meters, it'll take off. So yeah, it's definitely a great feature to be able to update your firmware more often. Number 10. Now, this is more for people that are going to be doing filming. You can adjust so many of the settings on the camera on this, it's not funny. Obviously there's better versions of these. You got different models from DJI and a whole different range from other companies and that sort of stuff, but the gimbal on this, it's fantastic. You got a separate little switch on your up the top here. Where is it? On this side. And it lets you, while you're flying, be able to adjust it up and adjust it down, and it's nice and slow if you go in and adjust your settings. So it's great that it has that feature of being able to go in and adjust your settings. When I think it was the third or fourth time I used it, I was like, God, it's and I can't get any, you're trying to just touch the button and it's flying down really quickly. So I've gone in, I've spotted it, and I was like, oh great, and set it about 60, so I took it right down to about 10, and that's still nice, but it's still a little bit fast. So I've gone down to about 5 now, and I get some nice, as I'm flying back away, the gimbal can slowly look up and slowly look down. But again, on the remote control, you've got these special function buttons. Let's have a look, which is there and there. So once you've got those two there, you can go into your app and you can adjust that so that it's look straight down and look straight up, or pick whatever the hell you want to use it for. But I love it because of the fact that if I'm flying over something and I'm like, oh, is it going to come down landing on trees? Quickly tap that. No, there's nothing underneath it. Sweet. Or if I'm looking at something and I'm flying and I don't know which way I'm orientated, over, say 80 meters away, quickly tap it. Oh, I'm looking at that. Cool. Tap it back again, back at the ground, or just use the gimbal control on the side, and it's great for knowing where you are and what's around you really quickly. So that's the other great feature. Lastly, just a side tip, there's a bit of an extra feature on it. It's not really a feature, but it is having the sports mode. It's really fast. It's too fast, but I can guarantee it gets you out of a bit of trouble. I've been out over the ocean, had a wind blowing off the coast, and it's coming home, and I'm watching it and I'm going, geez, it's going 1 meter about every 4 seconds, so it's moving really slowly. Clicked it into sports mode, boom, comes straight back. I believe I probably wouldn't have made it back if it wasn't for having that ability. And also, if you want to get some nice footage and say it's up the top of a mountain or down in a valley, turn sports mode on, get up, get out, do what you got to do when you get there, turn it off, and then yeah, you got all the time in the world to use your rest of your battery to get your cinematic shots or track whatever you're going to be tracking out there. And then same thing, turn it back on to sports mode, come straight back. Filming in sports mode, yeah, it's very sporty. It turns left, turns right, and your whole screen kilters because the gimbal's only minor. There is other models that can do better jobs at it, but for under $1,000 and shooting in 1080, you just get where you need to be in sports mode, and yeah, use what you got to do. The other little thing is that it's really good for this, but it can be a little bit annoying, is the object avoidance. I mean, you put your hand in front of it and it goes back to about 1.5 meters away. That's great. They really need to have them out the back and probably on the sides as well. But when you want to land it in your hand, most times if it's not above me and I can't reach up and grab it, it wants to move away because I'm here, I'm trying to grab it, and it'll want to move away. So I've got to turn it around and grab it from behind. But yeah, having the obstacle avoidance is really good too, because it saved me a few times. I don't know whether it's magnetics that have done it as well, because I've gone under a bridge really close to the water and it was timber and it went under it beautiful. Gone under another bridge, it was concrete and steel, and it sort of started to go towards the water. I was like, no, come back. So it wasn't the obstacle avoidance, because that makes it go back this direction. but again, it just sensed that there's something there that it could hit, so it moves away. So no, it's a really good, great feature. So that's the end of the top 10 features. Can't beat the Spark for, you know, just getting into the drone stuff. I've flown a few other cheaper drones, and they're just nonsense. I went, nah, I need to spend the money. For under $1,000, I think it's like $600 or $500 now just to buy the drone by itself. Get packages for about $800-900. Can't beat it. So yeah, if you want, in the link below, you'll see there's a page there if you want to check them out. Also, check out BAYSIDE Drones. There's a page I've got up on Facebook, and make sure you subscribe for more videos like this. Any questions, drop me in the comments, and if you like this video, make sure you like it. See you out there.